to see me, Chancellor.
Yes, Anakin, come closer. I have good news. Our clone intelligence units have discovered the location of General Grievous. He's hiding in the Utapau system.
At last, we'll be able to capture that monster and end this war.
I would worry about the collective wisdom of the Council if it didn't select you for this assignment. You're the best choice, by far. Sit down.
In part 1 of the Phantom Menace fix, we cut the pod race. Easy decision. We got rid of Qui-Gon's get-rich-quick scheme. We stopped betting the fate of the entire world of Naboo on a game of chance. We didn't count on a kid who's never finished a race to win a sport under high-risk, high-reward conditions. Instead, Qui-Gon walked into Jabba's palace and he made a deal. That is the most Qui-Gon thing that Qui-Gon could have possibly done. This is a man who treated the Jedi Council as if it was like a suggestion. A man who follows the living force and lives in the moment, the way other people follow their GPS. Even when it tells him to take a sketchy road through Hutt territory, he doesn't balk. He just moves with the Force. That will, the living force, it matters to him more than his title. It matters to him more than the rules, more than the perception of what the Jedi are or who they are supposed to be. And that was the reason that he was the only Jedi that could have saved Anakin Skywalker. A teacher who could have showed him how to bend instead of break. A man who could have shown him how to hold on to something without letting it destroy you. But getting Anakin off of Tatooine, that was the easy part. Now we have to talk about what happened when Anakin arrived at the temple. So as you know, the Queen arrives on Coruscant with company in tow. She meets up with Palpatine. She tries to plead her case to the Senate before realizing that she wasn't going to get any real help. She issues a vote of zero confidence. The bureaucratic playlist and the paralysis, they all come together and try to figure out who should take over. While that happens, we cut to the temple and we get the scene in the High Council chambers. The Jedi are assessing Anakin's value. You have the 12 masters, they ask him various questions, they look for his answers, how he would react and respond to different situations. They test his senses, they test his feelings, and the whole time, they're talking around him. They're talking about him as if he isn't even there. You hear the standard, oh, he's too old, he has too much fear, he's already formed attachments that he shouldn't have. And then while this kid is standing there, Qui-Gon walks in behind him, and the Jedi Council acts as if Qui-Gon has made the most grievous offense to ever occur. They've taken this boy, decided that he should be trained, and the Council's just supposed to accept this decision. Right away, you get this kind of jarring impact. You know, strangers came to Tatooine. They stayed in his home. His mother fed them. She sheltered them. She gave them everything she had. And then those strangers brokered a deal in order to steal him away. And now he's standing in a room full of adults who are acting like he's a burden. Like Qui-Gon is the one who did something wrong. And their biggest concern is that they weren't consulted before something happened. No one asks Anakin how he feels about being taken from his mother. No one is able to acknowledge what he had to give up in order to be there on Coruscant. No one's
right. It's very cold. You come from a warm planet, Annie. A little too warm for my taste. Space is cold.
No one says, welcome. Hey, we're glad you're here. We're glad you're safe. This has to be hard given your age and given your attachments. No, instead he's basically just an Excel sheet of what shouldn't be in a Jedi initiate.
The Force is strong with him.
He is to be trained then?
No, he will not be trained.
No.
Now, to understand why the Jedi Council is acting like this, you have to understand what life is like in the temple. You see, the Jedi have people that go out and look for Force-sensitive children, specifically infants, and they try to get these infants before they can form attachments to their families, before they can form attachments to their communities, before they can learn from other children what is possible in the natural world. After all, if I were to tell you that you could jump 12 feet in the air and you've only ever seen people jump 3 feet, it would allow you to build this false belief when you're learning something about the Force. You see, the Jedi wants children who only believe that the impossible is possible. When the children arrive at the temple, they begin training. They learn the basics of what the Jedi are expected to know, their meditations, their histories, their fundamental beliefs, and their lightsaber combat, and they wait. See, here's the thing that Lucas never really covered in the movies, but they established. Not every youngling becomes a Jedi Knight. Not every youngling becomes a Jedi Master. Not every youngling is chosen. Around the age of 12 or maybe 13, the Jedi initiates, the younglings, they begin to age out of the system. And if you're not chosen by a Jedi Master before you get to around age 13, you get sent to the Jedi Service Corps. Once you are in the Corps, you can never become a Jedi Knight, you can never become a Jedi Master, you can never train a Jedi apprentice. You get to spend the rest of your life doing charity. You get to do the rest of your life supporting the Jedi Temple, the Knights, and the Masters. You're not sent back to your family, and if you do manage to leave the Order successfully, you are encouraged to never use the Force again. The whole system that they have created is an audition for the later aspects of your life. Every initiate spends their childhood wondering, will I be chosen? Will I be good enough? Will someone see something inside me? Now do yourself a favor and imagine Anakin and how the other initiates would respond to him. Here he is, 9 years old. He has no training. He doesn't know how to meditate. He doesn't know the Jedi code. He has he has memories of his mother. He has attachments that the Jedi would spend years teaching these children never to form. And most importantly, from his first step, he has a master who is committed to training him.
What will happen to me now?
Council have granted me permission to train you. You will be a Jedi. I promise.
I'm sure it wouldn't survive the council chambers, but Qui Gon walks in and he goes, I'm going to take Anakin as my Padawan learner. Present tense or future tense. It's a done deal for him. To the council, this is Qui Gon being Qui Gon. He's being defiant. He's being certain. He's calm about it. He's following the living Force wherever it takes him.
Without the approval of the Council, if I must.
Qui-Gon's defiance I sense in you. Need that you do not.
But the children aren't necessarily going to understand that. And it's going to cause problems for Anakin. And then we get exactly what we would expect to happen, what we would all want to happen. Qui-Gon looks down. He sees Anakin struggling, stressed, feels him being uncomfortable, and he puts a stop to it. He takes a moment and removes Anakin from the council chambers, away from the adults, away from their concerns and their fears. And he does something else. He takes Anakin through the temple, shows him this place that he wants him to be a part of. Perhaps they stop at the training hall, and Anakin gets to witness a duel or a sparring match between the Jedi Battle Master and 4 or 5 moving opponents all at the same time. He gets to see the blades flash. He gets to see the bodies move in incredible acrobatics, things that he never thought was possible. And the whole time, Qui-Gon is teaching. He's calling out the different forms, the Soresu, the Makashi, the Ataru, everything that they're using, and explaining what the benefits of those forms are, what the weaknesses of those forms are. And Anakin is just enthralled. He's 9 years old, but he's already studying, already imagining in his head how he would do them himself. He's cataloging the movements, and he's developing his own philosophy right there. Then we get Qui-Gon taking him down to the machine shop, showing him all the different droids, all the different parts, all the different mechanical things that he could fix or manipulate. And perhaps we get a scene where Qui-Gon lets him pick out his first drone assistant, for his first training droid, the blaster droid that Luke used to defend on the Millennium Falcon. This would end up being the very first possession that Anakin ever really had that was his. And while they're walking with his new droid following him closely behind, Qui-Gon starts explaining life in the temple. That there are 3 paths that a Jedi Knight can take. They can become counselors, which are diplomats and negotiators. They're scholars. They study the mysteries of the Force, and they try to find new abilities before they use their weapons. You can become a guardian, warriors, protectors, soldiers, people who are willing to master lightsaber combat, to take the front line when it's asked of them, to stand in front of other people. And you have the sentinels, the investigators, the specialists, people who blend the Force with their practical skills. They learn how to slice, they learn how to track, they learn infiltration and subversion, and they do things that a normal Jedi cannot do. Maybe we get this nice little exchange where Anakin wants to know which one Qui-Gon is, and just have something, a little smirk, and him just go, "Look, I'm just somebody who listens to the Force and does what it tells me to do." We keep moving forward. Qui-Gon tells him about the lightsaber crystals, how a Jedi finds his first crystal on Elam, the journey that has to be taken to get there, what it'll feel like when the crystal calls to him. Explaining that the crystal and the color of the blade is something that chooses him, something that is made specifically for him, and isn't just something that you arbitrarily choose. He gets to see the Jedi archives. He gets to see the menagerie with the different animals from the different worlds that the Jedi take care of. And maybe we even get to see the holocron vault, where Qui-Gon takes him in and goes, look, every Jedi who's ever wanted to pass down a lesson has made a holocron, and it's here for thousands of years. And maybe even points to one that he made for himself, and says like, "Hey, when you're ready to go through this training, this one, or I've made this one for you." Explain that when using a holocron, it's almost an immersion into a Force-like environment. It's more intense than you can imagine. This isn't just a tour. It's, hey, you belong here. This will all be available to you, and I'm invested in how you turn out. And then, of course, the movie has to catch up. The Queen has decided to return to Naboo, and Qui-Gon has been assigned to go with her, or feels like he must go with her. He looks at Anakin and tells him, "Look, I'll be back soon, and we'll start your training." Except he won't be back. Ever. So as we know, Qui-Gon has to die. Obi-Wan says he will train the boy. And look at this funeral. Look at Obi-Wan's face when he looks at Anakin. This young man who just became a Jedi Knight just lost his master. Probably just lost the closest thing that he had to a father. And now he's looking at this boy who lost the very same thing, and the only person who believed in him. I'm sure Obi-Wan gave it his best effort. I'm sure that he poured everything into him that he could, passed on all of Qui-Gon's teachings. But he is grieving too. And he has no way of knowing what Anakin actually needs right now. He has no way to meet Anakin on his level. the more time that Anakin spends at the temple, the more he sees how other people are treating him differently. The other kids may have jealousy or resentment or just detachment from the fact that he was chosen by not just one master, but two masters. And he's still waiting there. And finally, Anakin gets to start training. And it only gets worse. Because Anakin is good. And I mean really good. He's naturally gifted. He excels at anything physical you can imagine. The Force flows through him like it's been waiting its whole life. Lightsaber forms? Oh, well, he's going to pick those up faster than the kids who have been drilling them half their life. Combat scenarios, he is able to read his opponents, predict what they're going to do with uncanny ability. That resentment over getting a master ahead of time shifts to be, apprehension. This guy is progressing so quickly. And while you would think that would help, that it would show that he's a part of the Jedi system, it just makes everything worse. So what does he do? Well, he stops trying to impress the other kids. He stops trying to fit in with them. He stops trying to be a part of the temple life. And he finds places where he can be alone when he's not with Obi-Wan. In this scenario, he goes to the holocron vault. He picks up any random holocron, and he begins to learn from the masters who can't resent him. Who won't look at him like he's a problem. He looks at these recorded teachings from Jedi across thousands of years and is able to interact with them in a almost real-life environment. These holocrons, they don't ask anything from him. All they require is that he shows up for training. And sometimes, if he's able to use Qui Gon's holocron, he sits with it. He listens to a dead man teach him things that he should have taught in person, casually growing this resentment for the fact that Qui Gon isn't present. When lights go out and he has to return to his room, rather than going to sleep right away, he gets out his training droid. He practices lightsaber drills and blocking blaster bolts until his arms get tired. The combat, the martial arts, they're simple because it allows him to distract his mind while moving his body. You attack, you defend, you win or lose, you fight or you die.
All right. What's the lesson, Master?
Live. Or die.
In this scenario, he's not necessarily just building his skills, he's building the walls required to keep other people out, to protect the part of himself that is still there. And the Masters, they see a boy who is obsessed with lightsaber combat. He's aggressive, he's undisciplined, he's spending too much time on physical training and not enough time on meditation. They don't see what's actually happening. He's not chasing the violence, he's chasing a ghost. And Obi-Wan loves him, or at least he will. By the time of the Clone Wars, he'll call Anakin his brother. On Mustafar, he'll scream, "You were my brother, Anakin. I loved you." And he means it. But there is this line in the Attack of the Clones where Anakin's talking to Padme, and he says, "Obi-Wan, well, he's like my father." And that's not a description. That is a confession from a boy who needs something. That is something that he was hoping that Obi-Wan could be for him. Obi-Wan, however, is much more traditional than Qui-Gon ever was, and attachments are bad. Attachments are something to minimize and push away. You see, the tragic thing about this is that it's not just some mega dramatic moment. It's not just somebody shouting, "You don't belong here." It's a slow, grinding isolation that sabotages him from the very beginning. A system that wasn't designed for a person like him, peers who resented his existence, a master who loved him, a master who wants to love him but can't be what he needs, and a memory that for a few days, when someone made him feel like the temple could be home, he now becomes something that haunts him. A boy with no father, a boy who's been told his entire life that attachment is weakness. A boy who believes his feelings are dangerous, that the love he has for his mother is something that he needs to release and surrender. A boy surrounded by people who only follows these strict rules that he can't identify with. A memory of a man who didn't follow those rules, who followed the living force wherever it took him. You see, that's fertile ground. Because one day, a man is going to show up out of nowhere. He's going to say, hey man, you got a raw deal. But look at you. Look how far you've come. Look how much work you put in to being the greatest Jedi of your generation. He's going to paint this boy as the hero of the Republic. And he's going to ask Anakin to think about a small idea. If you're putting in so much effort and trying to be everything for them, why don't they trust you? Why do they hold you back? Palpatine is going to validate everything Anakin is, everything the Council questioned, everything Obi-Wan can't reach. By the time Palpatine makes his move with Order 66, he won't be fighting the Jedi for Anakin's soul. He'll be walking through the front door that's been open for years. But that's it for me. Let me know what you think about this in the comments, and stay tuned for part 3, where we wrap up the Phantom Menace.